All right, here we go. Sportsbit betting insight today. Pauly and Teddy, Tuesday, October 2nd. Tuesday means we run through the college football recap, vicious beats again, and some big line moves. We'll get to bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books, and we'll get to the play-in game in the National League, Rockies against the Cubs. All that coming up on a busy show. Sportsbit betting insight today, SBR picks. I'm at Real Sportsbit on Twitter. He's at Teddy_covers. All the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. Horrible landing spot for the books. Monday Night Football. Game open 5. Bet down to 3.5. It lands 4. They pounded the under from 56 down to 53.5. Mahomes, Superman does it again. Showtime. 14 touchdowns, no interceptions. Watch out. They're 4-0, and they've only played one home game. Mahomes has beat Roethlisberger, Rivers. He's won on the road Monday night in Denver. He beat Garoppolo. 5 of the next 7 at home, with one neutral site game against the Rams mixed in there as well. If they can get an average defense going and do a better job of slowing down the run, watch out for Kansas City. And Andy Reid does it again. 19-1 straight up last 20 in the division.
Yeah, and that, my friends, is a pretty darn good track record. And the Chiefs didn't even play well offensively last night. And their defense, they gave up 7.2 yards per carry on defense, which, by the way, is the type of thing that will keep Kansas City's power rating lower, perhaps, than it should be. The wise guys were all on Denver last night. The ticket count was all in favor of Kansas City. The money was in favor of Denver. You got early to the party with the Broncos, did okay. If you got late to the party, bet them on game day. There weren't 4s out there yesterday. I think the books who got beaten up with KC money, they got beaten up on under money as well. That total opened 56, bet as low as 53.5 at the close. And even though the Broncos had their chance on the final drive, wide open receiver, Case Keenum missed him. That was brutal. Obviously, for side and total in that ball game, both were on the line with that single throw, essentially. And of course, the quote from Broncos linebacker Brandon Marshall talking about Patrick Mahomes and his left-handed throws and his scrambles out of the pocket. Quote, "He's actually more athletic than people realize. People talk about his arm, but he can move out of the pocket and make the necessary throws. We played well and we got to him, but he would scramble out to his right as he likes to do. It's almost like we'd have him in our fingertips and he'd scramble away and throw for a first down. The kid can play. He's going to be really good. He's really good right now. But we should have won the game. Broncos probably should have won the game last night. They didn't, though, and that's the Andy Reid versus Vance Joseph coaching edge. There was some of that in the mix, and Case Keenum didn't play well when Denver needed him down the stretch.
Got to catch breaks, too. That 3 and out for Denver hurt. The play clock hit 0. The officials missed it. They owned it today. I don't know how you missed that call, but Mahomes made all the plays in the fourth quarter. It's the first time since 2004 the Broncos blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead at home. It was 65 in a row, whatever it was. So they fall to 2-2. They take on the Jets where they're dogs. I can't believe it, on the road. That was 2.5 down to 1.5. And not only are they 4-0, they've already won at LA and at Denver. So the Chiefs have a stranglehold on that division.
Sure, which is good news for anyone with a Kansas City over ticket in their pocket. I hope you have one. I've got one. It's worth noting, Denver, for all the struggles that Kansas City has had on defense, and their statistical profile is not going to look good after last night's game, any better than it looked after their previous games. But one stat worth noting, that Chiefs defense got off the field on third down. The Broncos just 2 of 11 in third down conversions.
All right, some bad beats. Baseball, first 5 under in the late game. Dodgers-Rockies under 3.5. No score in the bottom of the fourth with 2 good pitchers. Bellinger and Muncy with 2-run bombs. 4-0, tough beat there. And a tough push on 7. 5-0 in the ninth. They bring in Jansen, gives up home runs to Arenado and Story. 5-2 final. 6th year in a row the Dodgers have won the division. They were 3-1 when they were 10 games under 500 with a bad April and a bad May. Robert said, "Don't panic. We're going to win the division." Came down to game 163. They got there. Tough loss for the Rockies, but Buehler was the story. Kid has better numbers than Kershaw this year.
And frankly, I want Buehler to pitch in the wild card game instead of the play-in. The do we have to play a wild card game? That's how good he is for the Dodgers right now. He's every bit their ace, and certainly pitched like it yesterday. Shut down that previously red hot Rockies lineup. That being said, man, you're betting betting unders in the regular season is brutal. Betting unders in the postseason can be even more brutal. Certainly, under bettors in the Rockies-Dodger game yesterday with that 5-0 in the ninth. Hey, we're going to cash this ticket. Oh, no, we're not. We're just going to get our money back with a push. The difference, of course, in the postseason is you don't see anybody waste at bats. You can be down 6 runs in the eighth. Guess what? They're still fighting for a single. Tough. You better have a strong stomach to be betting totals in the postseason. There will be a sweats. There'll be bad beats throughout.
And some bad bets, at least some teams that gave it away. The Cubs blew a 5-game lead in September. They lose the division and get beat at home. Shocked at all the Brewers fans in Wrigley. And the Brewers were plus 450 to win the Central before the season, plus 250 at the All-Star break. Yelich, what a last 3 weeks he had of the season, almost won the Triple Crown. 3 hits yesterday. It was, as we talked about yesterday, though, on the show, mismatch. If it was tight late, this is if they go head to head in the next round, it's a mismatch in the bullpens, okay? And a big edge for the Brewers, who now what a story. They are now the 1 seed in the National League, while the Cubs, who lose at home, have a winner or go home scenario later today.
They sure do. We'll talk about that in just a minute. We'll talk about that Cubs bullpen and the Rockies bullpen that face them. But certainly, it's not very often that we see all of these bets decided in game number 163 of the MLB series. Division winners, not once, but twice. The Dodgers and the Brewers cash those winning tickets.
All right, here we go. The play-in game in the National League. The winner goes to Milwaukee on Thursday. Imagine if the Rockies win. It'd be back-to-back-to-back road games. The Rockies are now playing their 3rd game in 3 different cities, in 3 different time zones, in 3 days. And it's Freeland against Leicester. Freeland on short rest. More on that coming up. The Cubbies are 135 and 7 the total. Freeland has been dynamite. Not enough respect and attention paid to this guy, who has a better ERA at home, unheard of, than he does on the road. So he's going on short rest. He hasn't lost since August 1st. He's 5-0 in September. He's 9-1 with a 2.40 ERA in 14 starts since the break. He's been money. But when you're talking about money here, it's John Lester in the playoffs and in the postseason. Guy's been terrific going back to Boston and a key part of the Cubs run when they won the World Series. I agree with Alex Rodriguez. The Rockies can come in loose. The Cubs are expected to do something to get back to the World Series. They made the trade for Hamels, who is available to come out of the bullpen, all hands on deck with a win-or-go-home situation. I think the Rockies can be loose, even though you can't love the spot. They're coming with another road game and travel. But all the pressure on the Cubbies, I agree with A-Rod with that assessment.
And you know what? Joe Madden didn't do much to lessen the pressure for his squad. Look at his quote. It's the 7th game of the World Series right out of the chute. There's no lamenting. There's no crying. There's none of that. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on the Cubs today. And, of course, we talk about John Lester as this ace. John Lester never loses in October, and he hasn't given up an earned run in his last 2 starts, and he's dominated Colorado and all this stuff. And, of course, Madden saying, if needed, Cole Hamels coming out of the bullpen if Lester gets into trouble today. Certainly been on a roll of late. How about Lester in elimination games, though? Well, it's his 3rd do-or-die start. His team lost both previous attempts, and he had an ERA well over 5 in those ball games. Got hit up back in 2014. We're in the AL Wildcard game won by Kansas City and then 2018 ALCS. The bottom line is these are older starts. You don't want to put too much into it, but John Lester's the ace. He's going to come in and the track record doesn't show that. Lester and the Cubs, I should say, went 0-3 in John Lester's postseason starts last year. The quote from Cole Hamels, quote, "We've got a lot of playoff experience in this locker room, and I think that's kind of what we have to pull on. There are a lot of teams that are at home right now, and I think they would love that one more opportunity to play a meaningful game. That's what we have to look at." And you read that quote, and you're like, what's going on with the Cubs right now, To have these, we got to pull on something. We got to figure this out. It's one game at home against a team you're supposed to be better than. The markets, as you mentioned, Pauly, giving the Colorado Rockies, Kyle Freeland, a whole lot of respect.
Yep, and there's not one guy in that Cubs bullpen that I trust. And watch out for the Rockies bullpen with Freeland on short rest. They were horrible, and a big reason why they didn't win the division was all those games they blew in June, July, and August. But since September 1st, Colorado's pen, the third best ERA in the NL, trailing only the Brewers and Dodgers. And through August, the relievers had an ERA of 5. So they've straightened it out here in the last month. Cubs can't hit either. The Cubs have been in a funk for the last couple of weeks. You saw that yesterday. Bad stretch on offense. There was this tweet. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was wrong. I couldn't believe it. 39 times they were either shut out or held to 1 run. And they still won 90-plus games. That's amazing. I guess it's a testament to their pitching and Joe Med. All right, college football recap
let me
every
just
Tuesday. Yeah.
Just real quick, one last thing on this, Rock. You talked about that Rockies bullpen going down how good it's been going down the stretch. Worth noting, Freeland, how good he's been, with Charlie Blackmon. He's been our best guy. It seems like every time he's out there, we're winning. We have a chance to win, or we do win. You talked about his 9-1 mark. Rockies are 15-2 in Freeland's 17 starts since the All-Star break. And of course, I always mess up his name. I hate this guy. DJ for the Rockies, quote, "It seems," and I want to read this quote again because I read it yesterday, factors in for today as well. Quote, "It seems like we'll have a tough series or whatever, a tough stretch, and we'll always come back stronger. That's how it's been all year. This is a group of winners, honestly. It's a group of winners that keeps coming back. When our back's against the wall, we play our best. I don't expect that to change."
All right, to college football now. Ton of bad beats. You saw it with Van Pelt and Stanford Steve. Florida Atlantic -2.5 for 3, led by 2 touchdowns late. Middle Tennessee scores. They get the ball back. A ton of 4th down conversions. They score, go for 2, and they win. It was like the Russell Wilson play in the NFC title game against the Packers. That's a tough beat if you had Florida Atlantic. And, of course, the doozy, Penn State money line, up 12 in the 4th quarter. Franklin lost his mind, calling silly timeouts, running the ball on 4th down. Hey, Penn State, it's going to be a screen. Can you stop it? Ohio State was sort of, 11-11 on screen passes. A bad turnover, 2 deep in their own territory. Penn State gave that game away. And Arizona, +3.5 or +4, scored with a minute left. I don't know why someone didn't kick the field goal because you were down 10. In any event, they went for it on 4th down, scored, and the kid missed the extra point. 24-20 USC.
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst beat of the bunch. Say what you want about Penn State money line or about Florida Atlantic. When you go through this excruciating drive late in the 4th quarter, and you finally, on a 4th down conversion, get the ball in the end zone, yay, I'm going to cover, yay. Oops, the kicker missed the extra point. Are you freaking kidding me? At +3.5? That's as bad a beat as it gets, man. I mean, I'm not saying it was a right side. I mean, there were worse beats. There's always worse beats, but that was tough for Arizona backers. When you sweat it out, it's like sweating out a whole game, and at the end of it, you realize, oh, shit, I put my bet in wrong. You spent 3 hours, and you're like, oh, my God, I just rooted the wrong team home for my own wager. That doesn't happen. That's the kind of mistake you make once, maybe twice, and then you really don't make that mistake again. Zona. Make the freaking extra point, kid. What are you going to do? That's a tough beat.
Yeah. It's college football. Everything's an adventure with these kickers who seem to get worse every year. Also, Bobby Petrino, again, it was like Oregon and Cristobal. I don't know if the kid audibled the quarterback for Louisville. You run the ball 3 times. Florida State's not going to have to go the length of the field without any timeouts and not a lot of time. But they threw it, intercepted. Florida State wins, but by 4 they didn't cover. But Louisville money line was tough. Bad for the books. This was crazy. West Virginia, Texas Tech, under 77, down to 73, back up to 75. It lands 76. And West Virginia doesn't score on offense in the second half. They get the win with the pick 6 late. Holgerson said he had a headache watching the second half of that game. Wake Forest, 25 up to 28, ran out Rice. Notre Dame, Stanford over 50 up to 54. San Jose State, what a game this was. San Jose State from 13 down to 9.5. They lost by 3 and 5 overtimes at home to Hawaii, 44-41. San Jose State missed 4 field goals. Hawaii missed 2 and an extra point.
And an epic, truly epic games. And a lot of these games we're going to talk about now. We're talking about San Jose State and Hawaii and Georgia State and Nevada and Fresno and Western Michigan and Rutgers. These are not the high-profile games where you're going to see the bigger line moves. And in this bad for the book segment, again, look at these teams. San Jose taking money and the Stanford over taking money and Wake Forest We're not talking the marquee teams. We're talking the teams that the wise guys are pounding. And when it's bad for the books, the wise guys are getting these lesser squads right. You guys all will focus, not you guys all, many bettors focus on the high-profile TV matchups. Serious college football bettors focus oftentimes on the secondary and tertiary matchups where you can actually find significant edges.
Georgia State from 8 down to 6. What a side that was. They won by 32. How about that? Nevada plus 6.5 down to 3.5. Beat Air Force by 3. Fresno from 8 up to 10.5. Routed Toledo. Western Michigan, 2-point dogs, went off a 2.5 point favorite and won by a point. Horrible landing spot. Western Kentucky from 6 down to 3.5. Lost by 3. Boy, this will hurt, bruise the ego. A guy at William Hill, it's duffel bag boy. He bet $200,000 against Rutgers. Indiana, he laid 16.5 and 17, and then the line moved against him. Went from 17 down to 14.5, and it was a 17-point game late. 2 late touchdowns by Rutgers. They lose by 7. That better was out $200,000. And UCLA, Colorado under 62 to 57. That's a winner on Friday night.
So I'm hearing a lot about this duffel bag boy going around town with a duffel bag full of cash and all these big parlays and big bets that he's making. Is he winning, Paul? I haven't heard a whole lot of winning bets. I know he won something big the first weekend, but since
he wins,
a lot of bets.
He is. I gave him. Funny you bring that up. I gave him the nickname because he started at South Point. He carries around the duffel bag with all this cash. All he bets his favorites, and he loves to bet against Rutgers. He hit a $60,000 3-team parlay in the NFL. He is down at William Hill this year, but he's up lifetime. Nick Bogdanovich told me today, director of trading. So he bets $150,000 parlays. $100,000 parlays, bets the stuff straight as well. He was off to a good start, but remember week 1, he laid 38 with Ohio State, 36 with Wisconsin, and then week 2, he was laying a combined 99 points in a 3-team parlay.
I remember. He's guy's getting a lot of pub. I guess when you're walking around Vegas with a giant duffel bag full of cash, going into sports books and making huge parlay bets on favorites, you're likely to attract a little bit of attention. Bad bets on Saturday. Duke, they were in my pocket.
Yep.
They were in our pocket. They got bet up to 6.5. Quarterback Jones came back. That game was over early. They got bombed 31-14. Wrong side in that one. Cal taking a bunch of money at home dogs against Oregon. Nice bounce back for the Ducks. They rout the Bears 42-24.
Yeah, and quick thoughts, random thoughts. Michigan escapes again. Harbaugh doing a terrible job. They're lucky they won that game on the road. Notre Dame and Book looked terrific again against Stanford. Alabama up 49-0 at the half. 2 late touchdowns, though, from Louisiana Lafayette, and Alabama doesn't get the money. What else did you see?
Sure. I mean, when you have a team that's up 49-0 at halftime and they're not covering the spread, that tells you the markets have them priced correctly. Your time for betting Alabama has come and gone. What about Trevor Lawrence getting hurt for Clemson? Minus 25.5. I had a little Syracuse money line in my pocket, just a little bit, but didn't get there. Orange were an easy side. The Kentucky Wildcats were certainly a story for me again this weekend after shutting down Mississippi State. Defense stifled South Carolina. They're getting a lot of respect. We'll talk about that game later in the week when they go to A&M. You talked about the Louisville throw on first down, which equaled the Florida State interception, which equaled the game-winning touchdown. We talked about the Texas Tech late pick 6, which sent the game going over and also allowed West Virginia to get the money. About Notre Dame blowing out Stanford. That's certainly one that stood out to me. Something of a surprise. Book really lit it up in that ball game. And Irish, another team that we'll talk about when it comes to big game breakdowns on Thursday's college football preview show.
Yep. And I thought I put that in there. I missed it. But yeah, Syracuse from 22 up to 25 and the total from 62 to 65. The public beat the pros in that one. It did. I don't know. Lawrence got hurt, but it's all going to be close. Syracuse was right in that game when he got hurt, and they should have won. Blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, although they had Bryce, the third-string quarterback, in there. Money time, play of the day. I like the number. Betting number 333. There's a 2 available out there as well with LSU. Florida won't be able to move the ball. Very impressed with LSU so far. Beat Auburn on the road. Crushed Miami on a neutral. I'll lay the 2 with LSU on the road against the Gators off the tough spot, too, off the big Dan Mullen game after they shut down Miss State. We're back tomorrow. Well, we'll get to the Yankees and the A's. 97 wins against 100 wins. And who are the Yankees going to throw? It better be Happ. And we'll recap the NL play-in game as well. We'll hit some football games coming up. I'm at Real Sportsbet on Twitter. He's at Teddy_covers. Sportsbet, all the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. Low Shack in the Bay coming up next. Thanks for watching.